Hi, thanks for tuning in here. My name is Bob, and I'm doing a quick video on this lithograph titled "Fraternity." If you haven't seen my videos, I had a series of videos I was making as I was discovering something that I found I came across, purchased long ago, and they they were a series of these. I made them private because I was kind of urged to. We didn't want people to think that I was trying to manipulate something in the market and in the art world or something. Well, I'll tell you a little bit more about that here. And what I want to let you know is that if anybody saw those videos and kind of where'd they all go, well, uh, they might be still floating around in virtual world. I don't know, but regardless, I'm going to make them public again in series as I made them. So this, I'm not going to go into the details on it per se on what I found and what was the analysis and all that in that because the videos cover that. I want to make sure that I cover a few things before you start. Hopefully, if you watch these, you'll kind of have an idea of where I was coming from when I was doing this. Um, and nothing has changed per se in that. I've made some notes, so you're going to see me look down here on occasion because I just want to make sure I cover this, and that would be it. Um, these videos that you may watch, if you see them in a series, they were all organic. In other words, they were just as happening, literally like as I was doing them, I was finding out these things. I was recognizing these things. I'm not an Odilon Redon by any means. I'm an art collector on the low level, just enjoy art. And I purchased this thing many years ago. It's in one of my videos and so on and so forth. So um, I want to make a point that sometimes I'll say, I know it's Odilon and this and that. Well, here's what this was months and months later now. Um, I do know that those are Odilon's figures. I do know that it's Chine. I do know all these things. The key, the sweet spot, or the ultimate, anointing, as a word, is that is it by him? Okay, well, hopefully someday we'll know. But I just want to make sure you take that with it, like not a grain of salt, but kind of understand that I was videoing myself discovering this stuff and literally coming it at me right then. So none of it's changed. None of the weight has changed in my opinion. Actually, absolutely not. So if anything, it's gained as it went. But that said, months later, I want to reflect a bit on kind of the experience. Why I want to say why I took these back on and why I took them on. There was a lot of push, a lot of suggestions saying don't do it because people are going to think that you're trying to fake something and make this fake thing. And that, okay, now fast forward months later, honestly, it doesn't matter because I've reached out to some of the most important. Let's see, the biggest players in No Dylan's world of art, in that world of art, high level art. And I've had some discussions and, communication correspondence. And honestly, here's what it comes down to. Nobody said it's not a Dylan Rita. You can watch the videos and logically you'll see what, you'll take for what you think it is. If it's O'Dillon, if it's okay, it's O'Dillon. The market, the world says it's O'Dillon. What's the value? $100,000, $50,000, $20,000. Don't know. Who knows? So the point is, it appears that a lot of the feedback to me was it's just not worth the money. If it was multi millions, oh heck yeah, they'd be all over it. Um, I was silly to think that the importance of the historic piece of Odilon would really get some folks their eyebrows, coming up and saying, man, we should probably check this out. I mean, you watch the videos, you see what's going on with this, you see the figures. It, it's stunningly. Um, let's just say, if indeed it were to be put into his work, it tells a story of four of his most iconic works. What was behind the curtain, essentially. So, but again, I get it. To go through and have all the research done, the scientific, very deep. Once you get past the stuff that you'll see on here, you start getting into these thousands and thousands of dollars. these places, number one, they don't want to, rather they don't authenticate. Uh, uh, and number two, the other type of organizations, they're like, it's just not worth it. It's not worth the money. Or Dylan just doesn't bring that much. Now, historic value, I don't know. I find it shocking, but so I've decided to just say, boom, here you go, everybody. Just if anybody sees it out there, I hope you enjoy and just create your own, analysis of it. And I've mentioned that before in the other videos, but now I really mean it. There's just nothing. I've talked to these folks, and again, no one said no. Everyone pretty much says, I can't do nothing with it. It's not enough. It's not worth enough for me to take it and take it to these labs and do all these expensive stuff. Okay, so we know that. That said, so it doesn't matter. But now I hope it matters to folks that appreciate Odilon Redon's works and so on to help kind of, it's his figures. So regardless, it is his figures. That said, again, I'm going through some notes here. I had wrote down, well, nobody really cares. Well, and I was kind of, I'm passionate about art and passionate about things like that. Obviously, you come across something as unique as this, you're going to be passionate. I don't mean they don't care. I just expressed what I feel is going on. I did have one big name. I'm not going to say the name of this place, but they hold almost all of his stuff, and they said, "Yeah, get to the bottom of it." There you go, buddy. You get to the bottom of it. So I contacted another place that probably could help me do it, amongst all these other communications, and the reality is, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Is what the answer is. It's like, okay, well, is it worth it? All right, so we know that. That said, we know that the price is probably the value, even if it is probably not worth it for those type of places to get involved with. So we're going to hope that someday, historically, somebody, an organization, a group, somebody, a person, who knows, a collector, somebody that's got works of his that says, hey, I may want to know what's going on with, maybe they own one of these figures in the known recognized works. Certainly, that's a possibility. Um, there's really significant pieces to this. In the videos, you'll see that there's some writing, appears to be written language in between the chine, between the layers of paper, and it sure looks like, and you can determine, it looks like a lot less or less. I mean, it certainly could be, what I was considering potentially, not guaranteed, but say, the originals. I know that Dylan had one series of that, so yeah, that's one thing. It's known in his in the workshops that did his work, that they would put the information between. So I mean, it's it would be really cool. Um, so these are going to come out. I think that was all. These are going to come out in series over the next week or so. Again, please understand, I was like sitting there, amateur explorer of art, and I'm sitting there looking, and all of a sudden this stuff pops out at me, like my brain is like, oh, holy smokes, that's Satan plate. Like, and then the interesting bit, and I can't remember if I have some of the final data and uh, digital analysis of what's called like the limestone registration marks, and marks that are in the stone are literally in this work. So ultimately, without showing I started to put together a dossier, and I have that. The link is, I could send it to somebody if they wanted it. It's cloud file. The thing is that basically what's going on here is that those would have to have been made on the stone that those known works were made on to have those registration marks in it. So I mean, it's getting to that kind of level of difficulty to make it not what I think it is, what I believe it to be. So another thing, just unrelated. Don't know why my camera's reversed. Can't figure out why, but this video might be backwards. I don't know why. I'm trying to figure out the settings, but anyway, not a big deal. There's nothing pertinent to that. Just wanted to make sure somebody, if they recognized my videos from before, or my the clock is over here, anyway, because I think it's going to show on the opposite side. Again, some amazing stuff. And I'm going to leave public. I'm going to make sure that the feedback is open. I didn't want it on there originally because there were some weird comments coming, and then there was again people saying don't put it out there. They're going to think you're trying to you made it in a 3D print, a printer or something. You're trying to do something fine. But now I'm just like it really doesn't matter. It just matters to somebody that to the folks that appreciate his work, that think this might be an interesting story and an interesting piece. And maybe one day, I've said that many times, maybe one day it'll actually come out. So I've heard, sometimes things get on Reddit or this or that, and then it actually gets to the people that want to know. And you get into that, they call it a wall, I can't remember, but some sort of, there's a lot of things it could be. It can be potentially that don't want to know, right? Like don't want to know. Like I could imagine. I think most folks could imagine, owners of multi-million-dollar works, and then another one comes to the market that's got something like, whoa, don't do it. So it could be that. It could be just, again, it's probably just not worth enough for for the big plans to get in there. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and end this. I'm going to try to post a video, so I don't know if I can do it. But I'm going to go ahead and post this, and then you'll see those pop up. And I'm going to go back. I can't remember if I don't know if they'll open up with the comments on, but I'll go back and make sure they're on. So please do that. I'm going to try to title this, like watch this first of the series. So thanks again, and I'm sure hopefully I'll make a fun video on some other stuff someday. So thanks a lot.